IELTS Reading, Week 1, Day 3. 1. The earliest Japanese writers were greatly influenced by the Chinese. Without a writing system of their own, the Japanese adopted and tailored Chinese characters to their own needs. As was evident from the complexity of the Chinese script, China is one of the most advanced civilizations in the world at this time. 2. John B. Watson's Little Albert experiment aimed to discover whether an infant could be conditioned to fear something. Ivan Pavlov had earlier conducted a similar experiment with dogs. Watson let a baby play with a white rat, but made a loud noise every time the baby touched the rat, which eventually made the child associate the animal with fear. 3. For much of history, people had no idea that germs caused disease. This changed in the late 19th century when Louis Pasteur demonstrated that liquids did not ferment after being boiled, proving that microorganisms were causing the fermentation. Robert Koch then discovered bacteria through experiments with anthrax. The first practical application of these ideas was Joseph Lister's development of antiseptics. 4. An anthropological theory that categorizes societies based on types of punishment, the guilt-shame spectrum is highly influential. In guilt cultures, such as the United States, control is maintained through the assumption of individual guilt. In shame cultures, such as Japan and China, pride and honor are more important, and criminals are punished through the application of shame. 5. The Wars of the Roses were a series of conflicts for the English throne. The wars were fought between two competing sides, which originated in the House of Plantagenet. On one side was Henry VI of the House of Lancaster, which was symbolized by a red rose. He was challenged by Richard of the House of York, symbolized by a white rose. 6. Brunelleschi's work on the Cathedral of Florence made him famous. The cathedral featured a dome measuring 130 feet or 40 meters in diameter. This dome looks like a large hemisphere with 8 supporting ribs on the exterior. The cathedral's decorative elements include circular windows and the beautifully proportioned cupola. 7. There are various types of jars, each of which has a specific purpose in the kitchen. In terms of preserving food or making pickles, the best type of jar is the clip-top jar. Unlike screw-top jars or jars with a separate lid, the metal clip and built-in seal of clip-top jars make sure that no air or bacteria can enter. They are therefore much better for keeping perishable products safe from contamination for long periods. 8. Fences, which are used to keep people or animals out of certain areas, can take many shapes, sizes, and forms. For instance, in well-timbered areas such as 19th century North America, many types of timber fences were developed: the split rail, post and rail, and hurdle fences. The split rail fence was movable and could be laid in a zigzag pattern around trees and other obstacles. 9. Geometry is the study of objects in space. One interesting object is the Rolex triangle. It is a 3-sided figure in which each side is part of a circle whose center is at the opposite corner. As such, the Rolex heptangle is similar looking with 7 sides instead of 3. Reading Passage 3. Archimedes Screw. The Archimedes screw is a water-pumping device that has been used since ancient times. Although it is usually attributed to the Greek scientist Archimedes and was first used in Greece during his lifetime, he probably did not invent it. A cuneiform inscription by the Assyrian ruler Sennacherib also mentions a similar device being used in his kingdom 350 years before Archimedes was born. The ancient variations on the Archimedes screw were powered by foot, but in AD 1405, the German engineer Konrad Kieser introduced a handle that allowed a person to turn the screw with their hands. Apart from this alteration, the design of the screw has stayed largely the same since it was used in Archimedes' time. It is usually made up of a screw inside a cylindrical shaft, which is partly submerged in water. As the screw turns, either through someone treading on it or through someone turning the handle of the crank, the screw collects a volume of water and carries it up to the top of the shaft. It then pours the water out of the top of the screw and into a waiting bucket or trough.